Welcome back to the Hudspeth Bug Out. Today I'm going to talk about what to look for with off-grid land in Hudspeth County. Unless you're looking at land directly around the established communities of Sierra Blanca or Del City, chances are that you'll only see large multi-acre plots of land for sale. In most cases, these will be raw, undeveloped acres with no direct or immediate access to utilities of electric, septic, or water, though you may establish these yourself over time. You may even find that as time passes, electric, for example, becomes more accessible. You may have a decent county-maintained road up to your property. That said, what you're generally dealing with in the wide expanses and ranches of Hudspeth County is what's referred to as off-grid land. Even if you are fully aware of the challenges of off-grid living, there are still a few things that I think are important to look for. Is there legal access to the property without trespassing on other property? Is the access a well-maintained road or something only a 4x4 vehicle can get to? In Hudspeth County, chances are it will be a dirt road. This may not matter to you if you have such a vehicle, but look for any crevices making roads impassable that may not have been there when the roads into your property were once built. Is there proper documentation provided that will ensure your ownership of the property free and clear? No liens against it, no back taxes owed. Feel free to ask those questions when you're looking. Is title insurance or a warranty deed issued? A warranty deed is generally what you'd like to get from any property. Does the seller offer any kind of site tour in advance or any potential refund of purchase or same value plot swap? If you are unsatisfied within 30 days, for example, the Sunset Ranches are known for doing this. If the land seems very cheap, less than $10,000 for multiple acres, there may be a good reason for it beyond just a motivated seller, so make sure to ask the right questions and do your research. That said, legitimate, free and clear, cheap land is actually not hard to find in Hudspeth County, and it can absolutely be a good, solid investment. For example, I have seen sales of 5-acre plots at yourcheapland.com for less than $5,000, and everything about the land checks out. A single downside might be that the land has rough and difficult trails for regular vehicles to access, or the unpaved roads could be winding and time-consuming to take to the property. Sometimes the land might simply be sold by someone who is motivated to sell quickly and has a lot of it available to subdivide. The thing I'd be wary of in this instance would be if the county has any plans to help maintain some kind of a road that reaches your chosen property. The land offered at Sunset Ranches may not be the absolute cheapest, but I have followed the process of purchasing through them, and I can say that they have a very well-polished system for helping a buyer through the process. One appealing thing about their approach is that they offer inexpensive financing of around a little less than $200 a month, so you can lock in your land and there are no prepayment penalties. They have a responsive staff that answers questions via email and phone. At least that's the experience I had in 2020. They even sent me a neat little packet once I had paid off my land, which notified me that I was paid in full, gave me a copy of the warranty deed as it should come from the county, and the notification that the county itself would be sending my final warranty deed. Another place I used was yourcheapland.com, and they were also very helpful and prompt, sending me the warranty deed after it processed. What about completely remote land? Land that's only accessible via rough trails by a 4x4 vehicle may actually appeal to some people, but vehicle inaccessible land on the top of a mountain that requires a long hike to get to, yes, I've seen such lots for sale, is going to be a hard pass for all but the most toughened adventurers or investors who only look at the land as an asset never to be used, or something that might become more accessible sometime in the future. perhaps a place to put a communications tower or some other non-residential use. Before you move to purchase your land, you may ask for a plat, or one may be visible just by browsing the land, such as at some websites like Your Cheap Land or various other sites. Searching for Texas land for sale on Google or another search engine should pull up multiple sites like those I've mentioned previously. Was a plat never done or not available? Well, this is not necessarily a deal breaker, but if there is no proper survey available, you may need to pay for a surveyor to survey your land properly and avoid future disputes over your intended land use. You may also find that the county has a record of an old survey you can access. What you want to avoid is a situation where someone else is improperly using your land, or who might fight over the placement of a fence because you're wrong. That sort of dispute might seem less likely in the wide open spaces of Hudspeth County, but it's always good to know where your property ends and where you need to leave room for easements. In any case, you'll want to know more than estimated boundaries if you intend to keep the land for more than investment, or plan to invest in a 20-acre fence, for example. Even in the case of an investment property, the more legitimate documentation you have around your property, the better. A plat is also useful in ensuring that all property has access to public right-of-way. Without such access, a property owner may be unable to use his or her property without having to trespass to reach it. The platting process restricts the fraudulent practice of knowingly selling lots with no access to public right-of-way, without revealing that such access does not exist. Property that does not have access to public right-of-way may be sold, provided the buyer is aware of the lack of a public means of access by water or land. And that last part is a quote that I took off Wikipedia for the description of the word plat, if you're interested in checking it out. P-L-A-T. Generally, if you're unsure about your legitimate ability to access and use the land legally, a plat can help determine where easements for access are located. As I mentioned previously, you may also pay a surveyor to survey your land to determine the corners and boundaries of your land. Some land offered for sale may explicitly say there is no way to access the land even if a plat file is available, so you may ask the seller if they have an overhead Google Earth view and estimated GPS type coordinates. Note that the coordinates that you see on a plat may, and generally are for surveyor use, and are not going to be something that you're going to be able to translate into a Google Earth type format. You can learn more about reading surveys online, but the point is that you may see something that looks to you like latitude and longitude, but again, those are typically used as reference points for the surveyors. I found that the estimate given to me on land that I went out to visit was actually quite accurate. With a multi-acre lot, a good idea is to stick somewhere in the middle if you plan to camp or build and you didn't get those exact corners sorted, or you haven't gotten them sorted yet. At the end of the day, the more you know about any property you plan to buy, the more peace of mind you'll have that your investment is not just words on paper, but something you can actually plan to visit should you ever choose to do so. The less ambiguity there is about your land, the more confidence you can have to develop and use it as you wish. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of advice that I had on purchasing land in Hudspeth County. I'm sure that a lot of the same advice I gave here would apply to any land you would decide to purchase around the country. If you did like this video, feel free to give it a like and a subscribe.